Commissioner Forstey-Grubb.
Here.
Commissioner McCluskey.
Here.
Commissioner Cavender.
Here.
Commissioner Quinn.
Here.
Commissioner Hart is absent. Commissioner McCollum.
Here.
And Commissioner Trombetta.
Here.
Commissioner Holmes.
Here. Mr. Berman, would you lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance?
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
I knew I could count on you, Salvare and others. I said meeting earlier, folks. I should correct myself. What this is a public hearing. It is today is March 4th, 2024. The Pennsylvania state law requires us, when we are considering amending any of our zoning ordinances, to conduct a public hearing and to provide the opportunity for and invite public comment on those changes to the zoning ordinance. What changes we are considering is an ordinance that amends chapters 47 and 182 of our township code relating to games of skill and significant tobacco retailers. The ordinance itself, the draft ordinance, has been published and will be the subject of our work session later this evening for discussion, as well as barring incident, it will be considered by us at our regularly scheduled meeting next week, where we take official action such as voting on ordinances. Tonight's purpose is to invite public comment. It is not a Q&A between the board and any of you who are here. It is just an opportunity for you to speak. We will hear what folks have to say. To the extent that questions are raised, they will be questions that we will no doubt take up and discuss at our work session. But I do want to, we have only set aside a half hour for this evening's meeting. And I do not want anyone to think that time is any reflection on the gravity with which we are, that we bring to our consideration of this change. And I think if folks had a chance to see this ordinance, they probably should glean from that the feelings of the board with regard to the regulation of games of skill and tobacco retail here in Haverford Township. So I want to try to work within the confines of the meeting, have folks say as many things as they need to. I want to take a couple of quick polls, if that's okay. How many folks here, and just a show of hands, would like to actually speak this evening at the microphone? Okay, terrific. All right, that's good. I'm going to try to set aside, try to give folks like 2 minutes, 3 minutes to be able to speak. If I may ask, and you're going to have to say it if you do it publicly, is there anybody here speaking in opposition to our ordinance to regulate the vape shops? And I don't mean to call you out. I just want to make sure that nobody is deprived of an opportunity to speak if it's going to be remarkably different from what I think everybody else may be advocating tonight. Okay, excellent. I'm going to ask our township manager to set a timer for 2 minutes for me. Anybody who's watched these meetings before know that we honor that more in the breach, but I would really like to hear from folks who want to speak tonight, so I'm going to start immediately underway. As I always do, I'm going to start on the left, and if there anybody, I'm going to start with folks standing. Yeah. But first I'm going to ask our township solicitor to identify and read into the record descriptions of the exhibits that will be part of tonight's public hearing.
Thank you, President Holmes. Board Exhibit 1 will be the ordinance itself. That's the subject of this hearing. Board Exhibit 2 is the proof of publication for tonight's hearing in the Delco Times on February 16th and 26th, 2024. Board Exhibit 3 will be proof of submission of this ordinance to the Delaware County Planning Commission, which was submitted on February 1st, 2024. Board Exhibit 4 is the proof of submission to the Haverford Planning Commission, which was submitted on February 1st, 2024. Board Exhibit 5 are written comments that were received, sent into the township and the board, all in favor of this ordinance from residents of Haverford Township. So those would be the 5 exhibits to commence this hearing.
Thank you, Mr. Solicitor. So I will begin. I'm going to begin with folks that are standing. That may be the easiest. Is there anybody on the left-hand side, my left-hand side of the room, who would like to speak? If you come forward, just let us know your name and that you are a resident of the township. You can or don't need to provide your specific address, and come before us and speak your mind.
Hi, good evening, Janice Miller, Ward 1 resident. So I'm going to go in a positive direction here, and I will tell you right now, I am not a person who knows how particular works, but I know I'm a person of what I want. And I would like to see, not a negative connotation for the vape shops, but more of a positive, bring smoothies, bring, the word I'm looking for is salad. Bring salad shops, bring healthy shops. Instead of saying no vape shops, you know, this is what we can't have. What can we do for what we can have? And so I didn't know how that works, but that's my suggestion to you. Make it positive, smoothie shops, salad shop. Oh, I can't think of the word salad tonight. Salad shops, you know, healthy. I'm going to just leave it at that. I can't even say salad. That's all. Thank you for taking the time to listen to me tonight.
You're most welcome.
Thank you.
Very, very compelling. Anybody else on the left-hand part of the room standing? Yes, sir.
How you doing? Bill Ruane. Ruane, R-U-A-N-E. I can only speak from a perspective as a business owner in this township. Recently acquired kettle on Darby and Brookline. Little plug for the place if anybody's hungry later.
Let the record reflect that we will strike that advertisement out of this hearing.
This is
right
supposed
now.
to be bipartisan, Larry.
Yeah, okay.
So I can only tell you from my observation and from living in this township as well. And I'm a little bit of an advocate of what goes on in Upper Darby too with these shops. And one of the things that I've noticed is that these shops are pretty empty. At least the one on Darby is pretty empty since it opened. I don't know if that's because of the community and the location, but the one thing that we have noticed is a lot of out-of-state plates. So it's more of a police matter, I guess, or an observation matter, I guess. But a lot of out-of-state plates that come and go. And they park out front, they park in the back, a lot of boxes coming and going. So, you know, and then, you know, Haverford High School and the middle school let out, and they all, thousands of kids, you know, come down Darby Road. We have noticed some kids going in there, and some of the younger kids are gathering in the back of the buildings and getting their tobacco or whatever it is that's going on. I just think that from that perspective, it needs to be kind of looked at a little bit deeper, because I know that this amendment is for, excuse me, the shops that are coming to the township. This is more of an observation for the shops that are already here, and what are we going to do about that? You know, because they're already here, and you know, I don't know if this law will reflect what they sell and how they go about their business, but I just think that that's something that really needs to be, to be looked at. So that's all I got.
Thank you, Mr.
Thank you.
Ruane. Is there anybody else standing on the left side of my left side of the room who would like to speak?
Good evening. My name is Rich Bly. I'm the facilities manager at the Kettle. Shameless plug.
Before you go any further, is there anyone else from the Kettle who's going to get up and talk? Okay? No? All right. Yeah.
I am also the proud holder of the Juneteenth Proclamation of Haverford Township.
Of course.
I want to thank you for inviting all of the citizens and concerned persons to speak tonight. Can I give you a perspective? You
Yes.
need to look future forward before making an impetuous decision based upon economics and what it can bring into your community. Haverford Township is one of the strongest townships that I've ever been a part of in my industrious career, 36 years in retail restaurant. I'm proud to work in this township. I'm proud to be a part of the fabric of it. I'm proud to see that it flourishes. Smoke shops are not advantageous to your image. They are not. If you look across the border at Upper Darby, If you go into the shops at Upper Darby, you will see they are not regulated. You will see that you will not have power the state can only regulate. You cannot conduct ordinances past the state in order to regulate it. They will do as they want. We watched them do this 5 years ago, and it is a mess. It brings unwanted traffic into your community. It brings noise pollution into your community. It brings more trash into your community, because I watched it 5 years ago in Upper Darby Township, your neighbors next door. Please consider, before you rush to the economic boom that you can get from this, to consider your neighbors. I love working here in Haverford Township. Thank you.
Is there anybody else to my left standing who'd like to speak? The center, sir, either?
Dan Martin, easy to spell. I live next to the vape shop on Darby Road that just opened. I'd like to echo what was said about students. They kind of hide behind next to my house back there, waiting for their older friend to purchase products, and I really think that's just a bad sign for how these are being used. I did just want to point one piece of what I saw written around the change in convenience store definitions, and I think it said 10% of the footprint of the building could be used for tobacco and 20% of merchandise. And that concerns me a little bit in that it's not clear enough. If you have a gumball machine with 1,000 gumballs in it, is that 1,000 pieces of merchandise, right? I mean, how are they going to get around some of this? I would love for some of those definitions to be tied closer to actual sales, products being sold, the dollar amount made by tobacco products versus non-tobacco products. So I think that will actually give us a little bit more guardrails versus some things that I think could be maybe manipulated in a way that still allows them to operate as they're operating today. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you for that clarification.
Good evening. Stephen Gambescia, Haverford. I'm sorry. Oh, it's not. Gambescia. And I'm in Lanark section of Havertown. And want to really commend the board for taking up this issue. I love the way you did the whereas. Whoever wrote that, it's perfect. What you have with government is your fundamental right, as you put there, is you're responsible to promote, protect, facilitate public health, safety. It says morals too, and general welfare. The one thing I would add, I did send a statement and be respectful of the other speakers. One thing I would add is, I think there's a way to take a look at Philadelphia City Council where they did the licensings for tobacco. And if you moved out of there, you could not give your license to somebody else. So there may be a way to say, don't do the grandparenting in. Those that are here, like the gentleman just said, I think we can just say once they leave, the legal part you may take a look at, you may be able to say that they can't transfer the license. I'm assuming they have a license to sell that tobacco product. So that may be something to look at to just tighten that up. Other than that, it's a great ordinance. I think that the language speaks well, and appreciate you for bringing that up.
Sure. Thank you. Is there anybody standing over to my right who would like to speak?
Hi, Phil Smith. I'm in your district, Mr. Holmes.
Nice to see you, Mr. Smith.
Front page of the website for the zoning commission says that it's about several things, but one of them is quality of life. And I question how permitting more vape shops or providing the capability for more vape shops improves any quality of residence. Define quality, and I don't think this fits in it. And the quality of life. It's been shown, it's easy to find online information that vaping and e-cigarettes are not healthy. They do have health risks, not as much as tobacco cigarettes, but yeah, the risk is there. And so I think we're threatening the health and safety of the teens and Gen Zs who are most likely to participate in vaping, and also, as the other gentlemen have said, the area around it, the quality of life for the residents. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Is there anybody else over here standing to the right who would like to speak? Okay, now I will return to my left and folks. Oh, yes, go ahead. Please do.
My name is Chrissy Leonelli, and
Why don't you wait to get to the mic, and then everybody can hear you.
oh, right here.
Yes.
My name is Chrissy Leonelli, and I've been a resident of Haverford Town since I'm 46, so most of my life. I'm a nurse. I have teenagers that live here. I have two nieces. I mean, a niece and a nephew and my son are addicted to nicotine. All started getting access to these stores. I've confronted the owners of the stores. The one in Manoa Shopping Center sells directly to children all the time. I went into several locations and threatened to, pretty much told them if they ever sell to my children again, you know. It's just infuriating. I'm sorry, I'm just running in late and can't compose myself right now. But my point is, they are just getting away with selling, and you can do all the compliance checks you want. They're selling, and my daughter is a freshman in college. Now she's a sophomore in college, and she remembers them vaping on the back of the bus, getting them from a place. Before there was a lot of vape shops in Haverford Town. Big Bang on Eagle sold to her friends, 6th graders. I mean, I know I have teenagers and they talk to me and they are actively selling. And I've even tried to set up my own stings, but I was told not to. I've talked to Channel 6 News, left messages with Chad Pradelli. This has been something that I've been very upset about, not only as a nurse, but a mother and a Haverford Town resident. They're seedy. The lights are unbelievably awful. I mean, it's just really ugly, and I don't know. I'm just really sad about it. And they're still actively selling to teenagers. And I would happily set up a sting. I have 4 willing. My niece started vaping in 8th grade. She was a varsity track star at Haverford High School in 9th grade. She can't even breathe. She's at the University of Delaware, and she has changes in her CO levels. I mean, all from being totally addicted. The nicotine percentage is way higher than cigarettes. It causes emphysema, popcorn lung, the diacetyl flavoring. They market to kids. It's just sickening that there's that many that close. I had an art studio in Haverford Town on Darby and Eagle. I was a small business owner here. I'm just sick about it. And my son's not doing it anymore. My daughter never did it. My niece and nephew are still totally addicted. And I just feel like it's happening younger and younger. And everybody says, not my kid. It's the jocks, it's the nerds, it's every single group of kids. They're all getting addicted. And I'm just terrified. And I don't even have a kid in the situation anymore, but just what's happening to Haverford Town. It's scary. So I just want to say, please, please stop these vape shops. Thank you.
Thank you. So folks sitting on my left, anybody in the front row would like to speak? Yes. Alvare.
Michelle Alvare, A-L-V-A-R-E. I live in Haverford Township, Ward 3. I understand from a government standpoint, going back to all the billboard mess and so forth, that you probably can't ban smoking products. But my question is, and in going forward, is how can it be better regulated by the state of Pennsylvania? They sell, tobacco in Acme and Giant and Wawa and 7-Eleven, and you see the little sign, you cannot buy it unless your birthday is after this date, and you have to show a driver's license or something of that nature. But these vape shops don't do that. And to me, I don't get how they get around this law that's in the state of Pennsylvania that you can't sell to younger than 21-year-olds. So I guess going forward, how can we get better enforcement that those things are enforced? And I don't know that it's Haverford Township's responsibility, but there's so many of them, I don't know how the state can manage all of it. But that's my bigger concern, is they're not enforcing it like these parents are saying. Kids are getting it as young as 6th grade, 5th grade, and that shouldn't be. But anyway, thank you for addressing the issue.
Thank you. Anybody else in the first row? Second row, anyone like to speak? Yes, sir.
Good evening, folks. My name is Angelo Capuzzi. I live on Alston Road in the 7th Ward. I have a few nuts and bolts items I'd like to discuss, but I thought it'd be better to save those for your work session.
That would be fine. You can't speak at the work session, but you can certainly provide those comments to us anytime you'd like, or at our citizens forum 2 weeks from now. But you have the floor now.
Okay.
I think we should say, though, that I believe there was some feedback related to some text changes and corrections that need to be made. Those were made. Those were all non-substantive changes. So anything that you provided in writing was actually incorporated into what will
All right,
be
so you got the
final
Planning Commission's comments?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, are you here on behalf of the Planning Commission, Mr.
No,
Capuzzi, or just
no, I wasn't authorized to do that, but I'm here as a private citizen.
And thank you for those reviews as well.
Yeah, you're welcome.
Yeah, and I don't say that to be anything other than to clarify that whatever came from the Planning Commission has been incorporated into the ordinance.
Wonderful. All right, the two big things I see, one of the purposes, or the main purpose, is to protect our youth. And there is a restriction in the code, in the amendment, the way it's written, that requires a 1,000-foot setback from institutional districts. I think that restriction should have applied to recreation and open space areas also.
So that's actually a change that has been made since the time we published this, the first copy of the ordinance. I think I meant to say that to folks, but there is an additional restriction that has been added to the ordinance to include all of our parks and township resources within the 1,000-foot buffer.
That's correct, President Holmes. And there will be another legal advertisement that will go out to provide for that change. Now, it's not going to bring about a new hearing, but we will re-advertise because that is a substantive change to make that addition based upon the feedback received.
Okay, the other thing I want to mention, which I don't think showed up from the Planning Commission anyhow, is there's terms that are used in definitions that aren't defined in the ordinance, specifically retail floor area and display area. They need to be defined or go back to the only definition in the zoning ordinance, which is floor area.
Right. So thank you. I appreciate that comment, and we will take that up. I'm assuming that any defined terms, any capitalized terms in here that don't have their own definition go back to our general definitions in our zoning code. But if there's some missing, we will fix that.
Okay. Thank you.
Absolutely. Thank you. Anybody else in that second row? Third row. Yes, come on up.
Hi, my name is Susan Pajak, and I live, Pajak, P-A-J-A-K. I live 2 doors away from the smoke shop, and every day when school lets out, they start coming home, they all pass my house, doesn't matter if I'm out doing gardening, whatever, I see them walk by every day, and there's always one that might be, I guess, old enough or fake ID, because he doesn't look like he's 18, but if there's 4 or 5 or 6, they stand on the corner, wait for him, he goes back in, he buys it, he comes out, and I watch him hand it off to them. 2 go this way, 2 go this way. And it happens all the time. So I just want to let you know, these kids are not, I mean, I just went and pulled cough medicine, and I had to show an ID, and I'm 62. And I didn't have my ID with me, they wouldn't sell it to me.
We're going to have to take your word for it that you're 62, but thank you.
It's a little crazy. Yes. I just feel bad because they're really corrupting our poor kids, and it's so unhealthy for them too. I
No,
mean,
I
some
do
of these kids
appreciate
are
that,
on
but I-
ventilators now.
I think it's worth clarifying, and I want to, somebody correct me if I'm wrong, but I do believe the legal age to acquire tobacco products is now 21, isn't it? not 18 anymore, is it? So, yeah, so there's no excuse. Somebody who maybe looks 18, doesn't look 21. So thank you for those comments and for your observations. Anybody else on that row who would like to speak? Yes, ma'am. And then I'll get to you, sir. Okay. Please, come up.
Hi, my name is Bonnie McMeans, McMeans. And I've been a proud member of this community for 45 years. We raised our children here. It's been a great experience. It's been a safe and family-friendly community. We're still a safe and family-friendly community. We have a great reputation. The gentleman over here mentioned how special Haverford Township is, and it is. We still have a lot of families moving into this area because we have good schools and so forth. The housing is somewhat affordable. I'd like to keep it that way. I'm concerned about the vape shops. Not only do they pose a health risk to our young people, but I fear if we have a lot of them, they'll start to diminish property values. And if property values go down, then our tax base is affected, and then our schools are affected that rely on those taxes. And I also worry that some of these shops are fronts for other enterprises. And so I don't know, how much policing is going to go on to ensure that that is not happening. So for all these reasons, I would urge you to proceed cautiously with whatever changes to the ordinance you're considering, and do what's best for the families that are still living here and trying to raise children and so forth.
Thank you. Sir.
Hi, my name is Tevin Dix. Haverford resident. I've pretty much lived here my whole life. I went to all the schools from Manoa to the middle school to the Haverford High School. And I think these vape shops, I am strictly against them. I don't like them. I remember when I first learned about them a couple years ago, they said there was like water vapor and everything. And I still didn't like it because I do not like cigarettes at all. I strongly believe we need to start policing these vape shops because, like I said, these kids are good. It's like a new, it's a new addiction that these kids are doing. Like kids, we're all from all. I'm sorry. I'm sure growing up, you all remember like whatever your generation was addicted to. Now this generation is addicted to. I'm sure now you remember. I'm sure now I'm sorry. I'm getting tongue-tied.
That's all right. Do you want me to go alphabetically or by height? Well, the things
sure.
When I was younger.
You remember growing up with your generation that people were addicted to something, and I start. I remember my generation was addicted to something like with smoking. Especially like smoking on the corner. I am strictly against this. This is absolutely wrong. We need to start policing this. Because now, like, I'm hearing that they're vaping in the schools, and I feel like nothing's being done about it. And, it could just get out of hand. And this is something that, this needs to be taken, into a serious matter because it's just going to turn, this whole township just into a dump. Just something to just be aware of.
Well, thank you.
Yes,
Appreciate your comments. I will move to my right side of the room as whoever would like to speak next comes up. I just want to remind folks, this is our first stab at regulating and restricting and really confining, the proliferation of smoke shops that everybody has seen here, vape shops. So I, just in case anybody isn't sure exactly what's under consideration before our board in the next week. It is our first efforts within the confines of state law that we can do to regulate a certain type of business, to confine it to certain zoning areas, and to further restrict it from being near certain things like schools, like government buildings, like playgrounds, and all that. So what I can assure you is that. If and when this ordinance is passed, it is a positive step toward what all of you so far have been advocating. So I don't say that to stop conversation. I still encourage anybody here on the right side of the room who'd like to get up and speak, but in case anybody wasn't exactly sure of what is at issue here, I wanted everybody to understand what is before the board right now. Is there anyone here in the front row or the second row who would like to speak? Yes. And we will get to the back.
Hello, my name is Helene Conroy Smith. I live here in Haverford Township. I'm a teacher, and the use of e-cigarettes, vaping, is very unsafe for kids, teens, and young adults, and it's an epidemic. Schools are dealing with this daily, and the ability for kids to go and to buy vapes is very easy for them to do. It's also very easy to get an ID today. So that says you're 21. And if you don't think so, I could take you somewhere to get one. Using nicotine in adolescence can harm that part of the brain that controls attention, learning, mood, and impulse control, says the CDC. Each time a new memory is created or a new skill is learned, stronger connections or synapses are built. Well, they're not being built if their brains are being rewired. As an educator, I see kids that are highly addicted, and we've made it easy for them to access this. Unfortunately, even the taxation in Pennsylvania has not appeared to reduce the prevalence of vape shops or the kids purchasing vapes. We need that ordinance to reduce the prevalence of vape shops in a community, because we know our kids are curious, and as someone came up here and said, they're kids. They're going to try it. We've all been there in the past, but this is a dangerous addiction. We don't know the long-term effects of vaping. We are just discovering it. Schools are having to police bathrooms because kids are vaping in the bathroom. Kids are high before class. Kids are bending down and vaping in classrooms. We have an epidemic, and our kids deserve better. And we as adults here in this township, we need to start policing businesses because they are selling to kids. And some businesses don't even know that they're kids because they have fake IDs. So I'm really asking that we consider this ordinance, have strong definitions so that we are limiting our ability to sell and have the vape shops. I'm also going to encourage, please go in the vape shops. I've been into 3 of the vape shops in this township. I walk in, I look around, and why do I do it? Because I care. I care about the kids here, care about the community, and I think we should know who's moving into our neighborhood. Thank you.
Anybody else in the second row? Third row? Fourth row? Peggy. Ms. Mark.
I'll make this quick. I'm Peggy Murr. I reside in the 4th Ward, but I'm here representing HADA. And I told you a little bit about this back in September, but they're not just selling cigarette and tobacco products. They're selling Delta 8. And for anyone that doesn't know what Delta 8 is, Delta 8 is an active ingredient of the cannabis plant. This afternoon, I called 4 of our vape shops, and every single one is selling Delta 8. I thought you should know that, so we do need to strengthen this ordinance. And it's not just children we're worried about. We had an addiction counselor come and talk to us, and he said, I can make fun of myself because I'm a senior citizen, but we're all having knee replacement and hip replacements, and the adults and seniors are buying this Delta 8 to take the buzz off the pain. So we have a problem here. Thank you for taking this up.
You're welcome.
President Holmes, in response to that comment, the Delta H THC is listed in addition to tobacco and vape products, as is kratom and ingestible CBD products. So that is also something that's being regulated as considering towards that percentage for significant tobacco retail.
Thank you. Thank you for that clarification, Mr. Solicitor. Yes.
Hi, my name is Laura Haynes. I think I'm in Bryan's district, whatever one that is. So I was gonna mention, I hadn't heard that tonight, that Delta 8 is being sold in these stores. And I'm hearing a lot about like there not being a lot of inventory. So my obvious concern is, is the transition, it's obviously gonna be a situation where in the next year, maybe next 2 years, we're gonna have recreational marijuana in Pennsylvania. I don't know if you've traveled to other states. I travel quite a bit. I see what happens there. These stores are everywhere. They're all selling weed. So I'd like that to be included in some of the language. It worries me that these are like holding positions. They're like holding their spot in the town just to wait until they can get their recreational weed license. They're already kind of doing it. So that's a little more attention to that too.
Thank you for that. Is there anybody else in that row who'd like to speak? And finally, the back row. Is there anybody in the back row who would like to speak? Yes, ma'am.
My name is Christine Schuster. I live in the 3rd Ward. And I am here just to support the amendment of the chapters 47 and 182 for games of skills and significant tobacco retailers that you are about to make. I appreciate what the commissioners are doing to realize that we do have many of these vape shops opening up and are willing to do what you can do within the law to keep them away from our children and the local areas in the neighborhood and confine them to the Manoa Shopping Center, which would be, I know there's one down there, and I know many people have spoken about the things that are selling. I wasn't really aware of the way, like the law, the way that I read it looked good to me, so just as a layperson. But with everyone else giving you their input, I just want to thank you and let it be known that I do appreciate the fact that you are considering making an amendment to the laws of our township.
Well, thank you. Is there anybody else in the room who would like to speak on this matter? Yes, sir.
Hi, my name's Michael Lee. I live about 15 minutes from Manoa Shopping Center walking. And I agree with everybody here about regulating the vape shops. But parents live near, and kids live near these Manoa Shopping Center, and also the Quarry Center, which is the other C5 district. So I just hope that you have a plan for making sure that any future vape shops do not create the same type of problem that they've made around the rest of the township.
Thank you. Ladies and gentlemen, unless I see anybody else with a hand up, this will conclude the public comments that we are accepting as part of this public hearing. On behalf of all of my colleagues and the township, I want to thank all of you for your comments and for your for your comments and for your advocacy, for how much you care about the community. It obviously guides our actions up here, and your comments are all extremely thoughtful and insightful, and we appreciate all of your participation here. As I said, we will be discussing this ordinance at our work session, which will begin after a brief break to take down cameras and microphones and anybody else who'd like to finish their evening anywhere else. And then next week we will be taking up the ordinance for our consideration to pass into law here in Haverford Township. So thank you all. I don't believe we have any other exhibits or anything else to add into the record, so I will close this hearing. And again, with our thanks to all of you for your participation. Thank you.